Krishna, everyone. Welcome to part 4 of Valentine's Day series. It is said that three things must be nipped right in its bud: death, disease, and fire. All these three have a tendency to grow very fast if neglected, and we saw in the last episode how lust is a blazing fire which can never be satisfied. So, an intelligent person is he or she who curbs the lust right in the beginning stages of attraction. So, how do we deal with karma or lust? Let's look at two important points. Point number one: everything has its utility, including lust. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, shloka 11, Krishna tells Arjuna, Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. In the third and fourth lines of the shloka, Krishna is telling Arjuna, Kamosmi, Kama Asmi. Krishna is telling he is Kama, he is lust. But what type of lust? Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu. That lust which is not contrary to the religious principles. So, what does this mean? It has two sides of the coin. One is that the proper utility of lust is to engage it in the service of the Lord for begetting God conscious children within the sanctity of marriage. And the other side of this coin is that all the degrading things about this culture, like the boyfriend girlfriend relationships, living in relationships, premarital affair, extramarital affair, all these need to be abandoned. Why? Because these are contrary to the religious principles. Now, moving on to point number two, it is Mother Teresa who said, real hunger is not of the belly, it is of the heart. How true is that? Each and every one of us have this intrinsic need to love and to be loved. There is nothing wrong in seeking love, but the problem is we are looking for love in the wrong places and getting frustrated. We are seeking love from people who they themselves don't have love. It's like two beggars coming together and saying, you love me. No, no, you love me. And neither of them have it. It's just like when we are in need of water, we could either go to a dried up well or we could go to an ocean. Now, which one is a better source? Obviously, the ocean, which is filled up with water and which also fills up all other water bodies. Similarly, to quench our thirst for love, instead of approaching other jivas who are like dried up wells, we could approach the ocean of love, the origin of love, the source of love, Supreme Lord Krishna, and we can become completely satisfied. All other relationships, no matter how flowery they seem to be on the surface, will end sooner or later. But it is only this union, the union between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul, that is eternal. Nothing can break it. So, how do we rekindle this divine love? Once, a girl approached her grandmother saying, Grandma, Grandma, I just can't seem to find love. Can you tell me where to find it? So the grandma said, Sure, I can. And as the little girl put her head on the lap of the grandma, grandma started explaining to her. Once upon a time, love was everywhere. Wherever you saw, there was love. But seeing that people were taking love for granted, God hid love he dug the earth and he hid love in there. And people dug the earth back up and they found love. But seeing that they were still taking it for granted, God hid love on top of the mountain. People climbed up the mountain and they found love. As desperate as they were for love, still they were not valuing it. So now, this time around, God hid love in the depths of the ocean. And people swam deep inside the ocean and found love. But still, since they would not care much for love after they found it, what did God do this time? He concealed love. He hid love within the hearts of the people. And now, since then, people have been looking for love everywhere except for the place where it is hidden, and that is right within their own hearts. Now, how profound is this, although it is a simple story? So the Supreme Lord is residing right in our hearts. This ocean of love is there right in our hearts. We don't have to look any further. In order to reawaken this dormant love, there are three things that we can do. Very simple but very effective. Number one, just like it's very difficult for us to love somebody if we don't know anything about them. You can't love someone somewhere without knowing anything. So, similarly, it's hard to increase our love for God without knowing much about Him. So, the very first thing that each one of us should do is hear about God, know about God. Just like Rukmini Devi, she heard about Krishna right from her childhood and she made up her mind that she will marry only Krishna. Her heart was full with love for Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days he heard Bhagavatam, which is Rasamalayam, and he attained the perfection of life. And number two, when we hear so much about someone, we can't help but start speaking about them. So, number two, speak about Lord, glorify the Lord every opportunity that you get. And number three, when you know about God and when you speak about God, third, natural outcome of that is we will always remember God. We will think of God day in and day out, every single moment. So, this is how, by hearing about God, by glorifying God, and by remembering God, just like Krishna said, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Right? Man mana bhava mad bhakto. He said, always think of me. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Constantly glorify me. Shrudu, hear about me. So, this is how we can transform self centered lust into God centered love and satisfy the hunger of our hearts. Hare Krishna. Click the link below in the description to join Aradhana Online's official WhatsApp group to get access to more such motivational videos, inspirational quotes, and latest updates. Thank you.